The piercing siren shattered the quiet morning at Chicago Fire Station 47, pulling Eli Thompson from his locker where he was adjusting his helmet with trembling hands. The crew had discovered his secret just the day before when Ramirez had accidentally seen a message on his phone from a guy he'd been seeing discreetly. "So, Thompson, you like dudes, huh? Hope you don't drop the hose when things get hot." The jokes had started immediately, laughter rippling through the bay like wildfire. Eli forced a smile, but inside, it burned. He jumped into the engine as it pulled out, the city streets blurring past. Josiah sat across from him, his best friend since the academy, the only one who hadn't joined the mockery. "Ignore them, Eli. They're idiots," Josiah said quietly, his blue eyes steady. They arrived at a 3-alarm fire in an old warehouse on the south side, smoke pouring from every window. The captain assigned pairs, and Eli was with Josiah for search and rescue. Inside, the heat was intense, visibility nil. They moved methodically, calling out for victims. A sudden collapse sent debris flying, and Josiah stumbled. Eli pulled him up, their hands locking in the chaos. They found an elderly worker trapped and dragged him out just as the structure groaned. Back at the station, the teasing resumed during debrief. "Nice save, but next time let the real men lead," one guy sneered. Eli's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. Later, alone in the shower, he thought about his family. His father, a retired cop, who always talked about real men and grandkids. A call from his mother that evening confirmed the pressure. "When are you bringing a girl home, honey?" she asked. Eli lied, saying he was busy. Josiah texted him after shift. "You okay? That was rough today." Eli replied, "Thanks for having my back." But the words felt heavy, hinting at deeper feelings he hadn't admitted even to himself. The next shifts brought more of the same. Pranks like pink tape on his locker, whispers behind his back. Josiah confronted Ramirez once, leading to a tense standoff. "He's the same guy who saved your ass last month," Josiah snapped. But it only made the divide wider. Eli wondered if coming out was worth losing the brotherhood he had fought for. As the week progressed, a small incident during training escalated the conflict when Eli hesitated on a drill, not from fear but distraction from the constant jabs. The captain noticed, pulling him aside. "Everything all right, Thompson?" Eli assured him it was, but the doubt was planted. That night, at a family dinner in the suburbs, his parents pushed harder about his single life, unaware of the storm at work. Eli left early, driving back to his apartment with a heavy heart. Josiah was waiting outside his door with takeout. "Figured you needed this," he said with a smile that warmed Eli more than he expected. They ate in silence at first, then talked about the job, the crew, and slowly, about life beyond the station. Eli felt a spark, but pushed it down. Little did he know, this friendship was about to be tested in ways neither could predict. The following day, a false alarm call turned into another opportunity for the crew to poke fun, but Eli pushed through, proving his skills in a mock rescue. Yet the psychological toll was mounting. He lay awake at night, questioning his place in the department he loved. Was acceptance possible, or was this the end of his dream? The story was only beginning to unfold with greater challenges ahead. Eli woke the next morning determined to prove himself, but the crew's stares followed him everywhere. During morning checks, Ramirez accidentally spilled coffee near his boots, muttering something about not wanting to slip on anything. The others chuckled. Josiah stepped in again, helping clean it up without a word, his presence a quiet shield. Later, on a medical run to a nearby apartment, Eli performed CPR on an elderly woman with precision that even the paramedics praised. Back at the station, the captain pulled the team together for a quick review, but the atmosphere remained thick with unspoken tension. Eli ate his lunch alone in the corner, replaying every joke, every sidelong glance. Josiah joined him eventually, sliding a sandwich across the table. "You don't have to carry this alone," he said softly. Their eyes met longer than usual, and Eli felt his chest tighten with something new, something scary. That evening, after shift, Eli drove to the lakefront to clear his head, the Chicago skyline glowing against the dusk. His phone buzzed with another text from his sister, asking if everything was okay after she overheard their parents whispering. He didn't reply. Instead, he thought about Josiah's steady support, wondering why it meant so much. The next call came at midnight. a car accident on the expressway. Eli and Josiah worked side by side extracting a trapped driver, their movements synchronized like they had done 100 times before. As they loaded the patient, Ramirez made another crack over the radio about Eli's soft hands. Josiah shut it down immediately. "Enough," he said firmly. The ride back was silent, but Eli could feel the shift in the air. Something was building, both inside him and between him and Josiah. He didn't know it yet, but the next week would bring a misunderstanding that threatened to tear everything apart. For now, he clung to the small victories, the saves, the moments when the job reminded him why he had chosen this life despite the cost. The misunderstanding hit like a backdraft during a routine training exercise the following Tuesday. The crew was running ladder drills when Ramirez spotted Eli and Josiah laughing together in the corner after a successful hoist. "Look at that, the two lovebirds coordinating their next move," he called out loud enough for everyone to hear. The laughter that followed was louder than before, and this time it carried a sharper edge. Eli froze, his face flushing under the helmet, but Josiah stepped forward, fists clenched. "Knock it off, Ramirez. We're just doing our jobs." The captain intervened, but the seed was planted. By lunch, whispers spread that Josiah was covering for Eli because they were more than friends. Eli confronted Josiah in the apparatus bay after shift. "Is this what everyone thinks now?" he asked, voice low. Josiah looked away for a moment, then met his eyes. "Let them talk. It doesn't change who we are." But Eli could see the conflict in his friend's expression, a flicker of something deeper that made his stomach twist. That night, Eli's mother called again, this time more insistent after hearing vague rumors from a neighbor whose son was a cop. "People are saying things, Eli. You need to set the record straight." He hung up feeling more isolated than ever. The next day brought a small warehouse fire where the crew's tension affected performance. During the interior attack, Ramirez hesitated to back up Eli on a hose line, muttering under his breath. Josiah noticed and moved in seamlessly, but the captain pulled them all aside afterward for a stern talk about unity. "We leave personal stuff at the door," he warned. Eli nodded, but inside he was crumbling. After the shift, Josiah invited him to his apartment for a beer to decompress. They sat on the couch, the city lights twinkling through the window, and for the first time Josiah opened up about his own past. "I lost a buddy in the academy who hid who he was until it broke him. I won't let that happen to you." Their conversation stretched late, touching on dreams, regrets, and the weight of expectations. Eli felt seen in a way he never had. Yet the next morning, betrayal struck when another teammate, a guy named Torres, overheard part of their talk and twisted it into a story he shared with the captain. "Thompson and Ramirez are distracting each other," Torres claimed. The captain called Eli in for a private meeting, asking pointed questions about his focus. Eli defended himself calmly, citing his save record, but the doubt lingered. Family pressure mounted when his father showed up unannounced at the station during a slow afternoon, pulling him aside. "Your mother is worried. Whatever's going on, fix it like a man." Eli bit his tongue, the words stinging deeper than any flame. Josiah watched from afar, his support unwavering but strained by the growing rumors. That evening, Eli and Josiah met secretly at a quiet park near the lake, away from prying eyes. "I don't know how much more of this I can take," Eli admitted. Josiah placed a hand on his shoulder, the touch lingering. "We'll get through it together." The gesture sent a rush through Eli, forcing him to confront feelings he had buried. But before they could talk more, a text from the station called them back for an overtime shift. The crew's stares were colder now, the divide widening. During a late-night medical call, Eli performed flawlessly, but the praise was muted. Ramirez avoided eye contact entirely. The psychological weight pressed on Eli like smoke in his lungs. He questioned every decision, every relationship. Was Josiah's loyalty just friendship or something more? The secret between them felt heavier with each passing hour. As the week ended, another misunderstanding arose when Torres accidentally saw a text from Eli to Josiah about meeting up. He spread it around, claiming proof of something inappropriate. The team fractured further, with some siding against Eli and others staying neutral. Josiah pulled Eli aside in the locker room. "This is getting out of hand. We need to clear the air." But before they could, the alarm sounded for a major incident. The call that would change everything was coming, and with it, the chance for truth to surface in the most unexpected way. Eli suited up, heart pounding, unaware that the fire ahead would force every hidden feeling into the open. The major incident began as a routine structure fire in a 6-story apartment building on the west side, but it quickly escalated into chaos when a gas line ruptured. Flames shot through the hallways as the crew arrived, residents screaming from windows. The captain split the teams, sending Eli and Josiah to the 3rd floor for search and rescue, while Ramirez and Torres handled the 4th. Smoke filled the stairwell, thick and black, making every step a battle. Eli and Josiah moved in tandem, kicking doors and calling out. They found a young mother and her child huddled in a bathroom and guided them down safely. But as they returned for another sweep, the building shuddered with a secondary explosion. Debris rained down, separating the pair momentarily. "Josiah, you copy?" Eli shouted into his radio. Static answered first, then Josiah's strained voice, pinned on the 5th floor landing. "Leg stuck." Eli didn't hesitate. Ignoring the captain's order to evacuate, he charged upward through the heat, heart hammering. The crew below heard the exchange over the radio, and Ramirez muttered, "He's going to get himself killed trying to play hero for his boyfriend." The words carried, but no one stopped Eli. He reached Josiah, who was trapped under fallen drywall and a collapsed railing, flames licking closer. "Hang on. I've got you," Eli said, using his Halligan bar to pry the debris free. Sweat poured down his face inside the mask as he lifted with everything he had. Josiah groaned in pain but crawled out, leaning heavily on Eli as they descended. The rest of the team had pulled back to the street, watching the building roar. When Eli and Josiah emerged, covered in soot and staggering, the crew rushed forward. The captain's face was pale. "That was reckless, Thompson, but you saved him." Back at the station hours later, after medical checks confirmed Josiah's leg was sprained but not broken, the atmosphere shifted noticeably. Ramirez approached Eli in the bay, eyes downcast. "I was wrong about you, man. What you did up there. That took guts." The apology was quiet, but it spread. Torres followed suit, admitting he had exaggerated the rumors. The captain called a brief meeting, emphasizing that bravery wasn't about orientation but about actions. Eli nodded, exhausted but relieved, though the deeper issues remained. That night, Josiah limped into Eli's apartment unannounced, carrying a 6-pack. "You didn't have to risk everything for me," he said, voice thick. Eli shrugged. "You're my partner. That's what we do." Their conversation turned personal, Josiah confessing that the teasing had forced him to examine his own feelings. "I've been fighting it too, Eli. Seeing you charging like that. It made me realize I can't hide anymore." The admission hung in the air, raw and honest. Eli felt a weight lift, but family complications loomed. His father had heard about the fire on the news and called, demanding details. "You put your life on the line for a teammate. That's the son I raised." The praise felt hollow given the context. The next shift brought a fragile peace. The crew included Eli in banter again, though cautiously. Josiah's limp slowed him, but he refused desk duty. During downtime, they shared subtle glances that spoke volumes. Yet a new betrayal surfaced when Torres, still uneasy, mentioned the rumors to Eli's sister during a chance encounter at a bar. She confronted Eli over the phone, tears in her voice. "Why didn't you tell us? Mom's devastated." The call left Eli reeling. He drove to his parents' house that evening, Josiah insisting on coming for support. The confrontation was painful, his father pacing, mother crying, but Eli stood firm. "This is who I am. The fire today proved I can still be the man you want me to be." Josiah waited outside, ready if needed. Back at the station the following day, the team sensed the change in Eli. He moved with new confidence. A small call allowed him to lead a successful rescue, earning genuine claps. The turning point was solidifying, but the emotional climax was still building. Josiah pulled Eli aside after shift. "Whatever happens next, we're in this together." Their hands brushed, a promise unspoken. The crew watched, no jokes this time. Acceptance was creeping in, slow but real. Eli finally felt he could breathe. The journey had cost him sleep, friendships, and nearly his family, but it was forging something stronger. Little did they know, one final test would seal the transformation for everyone involved. The final test arrived 2 days later in the form of a 5-alarm blaze at an abandoned factory-turned-shelter, reports of multiple squatters trapped inside. The entire company rolled out under pouring rain, sirens cutting through the storm. Eli and Josiah were paired again, their bond now an open secret the crew had started to accept. Inside the inferno, visibility dropped to 0 as toxic smoke billowed. They located 3 victims on the 2nd floor and evacuated them, but radio reports indicated more on the upper levels. The captain ordered withdrawal due to structural instability, yet Eli heard faint cries from above. "Josiah, cover me. There's someone left." Josiah nodded without question, and they pushed higher despite the warnings. A floor collapse trapped 3 more crew members, including Ramirez below them. Chaos erupted over the radio. Eli and Josiah worked frantically to reach the trapped men, using ropes and tools in the blistering heat. Eli spotted Ramirez pinned under a beam, face pale with fear. Without a second thought, Eli crawled forward, ignoring the flames closing in. "Hold on, I've got you," he yelled, leveraging his body to lift the debris just enough for Josiah to pull Ramirez free. The effort drained Eli, his air tank beeping low, but he refused to leave until all were safe. The crew on the ground watched the building tremble, praying. When the 4 men finally staggered out, Eli supporting Josiah, who had twisted his ankle again in the rescue, the entire team erupted in cheers. The captain hugged Eli tightly. "You just saved half my company, Thompson. Whatever anyone said before, forget it. You're one of us." Ramirez, still coughing, grabbed Eli's hand. "I was an idiot. You risked everything for me after how I treated you. Thank you." The moment was raw, tears mixing with rain on soot-covered faces. Back at the station, the mood transformed completely. The crew gathered around Eli and Josiah, sharing stories and apologies. Torres admitted spreading rumors out of fear, and the captain announced a team barbecue to celebrate their survival. Eli felt the acceptance he had craved, but the real victory was personal. Later that night, alone with Josiah at the lakefront, emotions poured out. "I love you," Josiah said simply, the words hanging in the cool air. Eli pulled him close, the embrace sealing years of hidden feelings. "I love you too." "We made it." Their kiss was gentle, full of the relief and hope they had fought for. The next week brought family reconciliation. Eli's parents invited both him and Josiah to dinner, awkward at first, but warming as stories of the fire were shared. His father clapped Josiah on the back. "Any man who stands by my son like that is family." The shift at the station felt different now. Banter included everyone, no exclusions. Eli thrived, leading drills with newfound confidence. The crew respected his decisions, seeing the hero beneath the labels. Yet growth came with reflection. Eli journaled late nights about the misunderstandings, the betrayals, and the sacrifices that had shaped him. Josiah supported every step, their relationship deepening into something steady and real. One quiet evening after a long shift, they walked the Chicago Riverwalk hand in hand, no longer hiding. The city lights reflected in the water, mirroring the glow of their future. The crew even threw a small party when Eli received a commendation for bravery. Ramirez raised a toast, "To the man who showed us what real courage looks like." Laughter filled the room, the old wounds healing. Eli looked around, realizing the journey had not only saved lives, but rebuilt his world. Family expectations had softened, friendships mended, and love had found its place. The psychological scars remained, but they fueled his strength. As months passed, Eli mentored new recruits, sharing quietly how identity didn't define duty. Josiah stood beside him always, their partnership both professional and personal. The story that began with mockery had become one of triumph, proving that facing truth head-on led to the deepest acceptance. Yet even in triumph, small ripples of doubt occasionally surfaced, reminding Eli that growth was ongoing. During a holiday shift, an older firefighter transferred and made a passing comment echoing the old teasing, but the crew shut it down instantly, defending Eli without hesitation. The moment reinforced how far they had come. Josiah's family, more progressive than Eli's, welcomed him warmly at a weekend gathering, easing the last barriers. Eli felt truly seen. A community event at the station invited local LGBT groups, and Eli spoke briefly about his experiences, his voice steady. The applause was genuine, the crew cheering loudest. Back on the job, their synchronized rescues became legendary, trust unbreakable. One quiet night patrol, they responded to a minor kitchen fire where Eli's quick thinking prevented escalation. The grateful family thanked him personally, unaware of the deeper story. Josiah smiled proudly afterward. That's my guy. Their shared life blossomed. Simple dinners, lake walks, plans for the future. Eli's sister became their biggest supporter, bridging family gaps. The captain promoted Eli to lieutenant, citing his leadership through adversity. The crew celebrated with genuine pride. Reflections on the past brought closure. The leaked text that started it all now seemed like a catalyst for necessary change. Misunderstandings had tested them. Secrets had nearly broken them. But sacrifices had united them. Eli stood taller, decisions clearer, consequences embraced as lessons. The department felt like home again, not a battlefield. As seasons turned, a new recruit faced similar whispers, and Eli mentored him quietly, passing on the wisdom earned through fire. Josiah watched with admiration. Their love, once hidden, now inspired. One evening at the firehouse roof, watching the city lights, Eli turned to Josiah. We turned pain into purpose. The words captured their journey perfectly. The team below laughed over cards, the brotherhood stronger than ever. Eli realized acceptance wasn't given. It was earned through actions that spoke louder than any label. The psychological growth was complete, from doubt to certainty, isolation to connection. Family dinners now included both men, traditions evolving. The original crew, once fractured, became his strongest advocates. Life moved forward with hope, the Chicago skyline a constant reminder of the blaze that forged them. Every call reinforced the lesson. Bravery came in many forms, but love made it enduring. The story had come full circle, leaving Eli and Josiah ready for whatever came next, together. The final months solidified everything. Eli received city recognition for community outreach, using his platform to advocate quietly for inclusion in emergency services. Josiah stood by him at the ceremony, their hands brushing in support. The crew attended en masse, cheering as the mayor shook Eli's hand. Back at the station, life settled into a rhythm of trust and camaraderie. Pranks were harmless fun again, directed at everyone equally. Ramirez even asked Eli for advice on his own family issues, the full circle complete. Josiah and Eli moved in together, a small apartment overlooking the lake, where evenings brought peace after long shifts. Family visits became regular, his parents embracing the change with quiet pride. One weekend barbecue blended both families, laughter erasing old tensions. The psychological scars faded into scars of strength, each decision now rooted in self-acceptance. Eli mentored more recruits, sharing how facing truth built unbreakable teams. Josiah proposed during a quiet shift on the roof, the city sparkling below. "Marry me." Eli said yes without hesitation, the moment pure and real. The crew threw an engagement party, toasts full of respect. As time passed, their wedding was simple yet meaningful, attended by the entire station. The captain officiated a small part, symbolizing the acceptance earned through fire and heart. Eli looked at Josiah under the lights, realizing the journey had delivered everything: love, belonging, purpose. The original teasing seemed distant, replaced by deep loyalty. Every rescue now carried extra weight, knowing they protected more than lives. They protected each other. The story closed with the team stronger, families united, and two men living openly. Eli often reflected on how one daring act had rewritten destinies. The city continued its pulse, but for them, the fire had brought light. True change came not from hiding, but from standing tall. Their bond inspired others in the department to live authentically. The end brought peace, growth complete. True or false? A man's true character is revealed not by who he loves, but by how he loves in the face of adversity.